So I already covered the first 5 episodes of Transformers Prime, and I decided why not keep going. Break down the series episode by episode whenever I want, and then who knows, maybe do the same for Robots in Disguise, to truly find out once and for all how well it all stands up when watched back to back. So let's talk about episode 6, Masters and Students. The episode begins with Starscream watching what appears to be the death of Megatron when the space bridge exploded last episode and Screamer stepped into power. He says, "It's
such a shame. But I applaud you, Megatron. You certainly made a grand exit."
It sounds sarcastic, but I don't believe it undermines that when push came to shove, Screamer begged for Megatron to retreat and save himself. He's glad to have his newfound power, but up to this point he still hasn't been traitorous, just ambitious. It felt important to point out the difference. He then asks for Soundwave's help and broadcasts a speech across the warship, addressing the Decepticon army.
The loss of Megatron, leader of the great Decepticon uprising, is certainly a blow to our cause. Yet we mustn't despair over his tragic demise, but instead embrace his ultimate sacrifice and build upon the foundation he laid.
His tone shift here is cunningly manipulative, touching the sparks and minds of the Khans, showing that he does have leadership potential. It also stays in character with the ego stroking at the end.
With an even mightier hand.
Afterwards, a Viacon steps up and questions Starscream, even referring to him by Commander instead of Lord by accident, and yet Starscream forgives him and still hears him out.
Allow me to be crystal clear. I studied for millennia under our former master. Thus I am equipped to lead you. I, Megatron's true heir, Lord Starscream.
Screamer may give a non-answer here, but he was willing to give an attempt to acknowledge the troops and quell their fears, which is more hallmarks of a good leader. He just needs some practice. The foundation is there behind the selfishness that is. After the troops don't respond how he wants them to, due to him not actually answering the question, he remembers a Decepticon warrior on Earth that
legend tells of one capable warrior, one who exists here, one who can be student to my master.
He said the thing. We now shift to the Autobot base, as Ratchet and Optimus talk about the outcome of the last battle, and how Prime wishes he could have changed Meg's mind and saved his life. Prime brings up that although Meg's may be gone, Starscream is capable of leading the Khans unpredictably so. An unpredictable enemy is more dangerous than the one that you know. Suddenly an explosion occurs in the base. Ratchet says it's an attack and the two rush over to see that it's a volcano from Raph's science fair project. Raph's doing a baking soda volcano, Miko the solar system, and Jack a motorcycle, which leads to this.
You're a motorcycle, RC. Shouldn't you know how to build a motorcycle engine?
You're a human, Jack. Can you build me a small intestine?
It's witty and shows the dynamic the two have formed since my last video. Ratchet gets angry that the kids and bots are wasting time on schoolwork, asking what the bots know about what they are helping with and what importance it even has. He then says the humans should learn more about Cybertron instead. This is setting up a future event where the bots, Ratchet specifically, needs to know something pertaining to Earth, but his partiality to Cybertron has caused him not to learn it. Someone is put at risk and Ratchet's unable to help. I'll bring this up again when we get there, but they planted the seeds early on here. Starscream and Soundwave arrive to the warrior that was brought up earlier. Starscream adds some lore to the world, while also establishing his differing mindset in terms of how he commands, one that I actually agree with. He says that during the Great War on Cybertron, Energon was hidden on Earth, so Megatron sent warriors to guard it, and they are on Earth waiting to be reawakened.
Such folly that late in life, Megatron searched distant space for warriors, rather than here beneath his feet.
He's got a good point. As ambitious as Screamer is in terms of gathering troops, he's remaining rather grounded. The Autobots are also building lore, with us learning that the life cycles of Cybertronians are much longer than humans, and that Bumblebee is considered young and inexperienced, which is why he isn't a warrior class yet, but instead still a scout. Energon gets picked up on scanners being in transit, a new capability of the Autobot computer system that wasn't there before. Optimus asks Ratchet to come along, but given that he's a scientist, he offers to help with the science projects, giving Bumblebee the opportunity to have that experience. Ratchet's such a sweetheart. Soundwave and Starscream uncover an escape pod, coffin, chamber, place, put in an Energon cube, and revive a Decepticon named Skyquake. Skyquake claims to only serve Megatron, not listening to Starscream or anyone else for that matter. Somewhere between this scene and last, Soundwave just vanished from Starscream's side. Poof the magic dragon, he's gone. Which is weird, but hopefully they address that later. When Optimus arrives, him and Skyquake recognize each other, with Skyquake saying he was ordered to kill him. Prime asks Starscream for a truce, peace between Autobots and Decepticons, leading to,
"If you would be willing to bow before me, Optimus Prime."
Then Optimus tries again with Skyquake, who acts barbaric in response, a stark contrast to his brother Dreadwing, who we'll meet in the future. Starscream retreats to where we see Soundwave again. Glad he's still here, but it was a strange decision to remove him from the scene earlier just to prevent him from stepping in. He's a powerful character, and as much as I hate to say it, it's a cheap way to circumvent it by poorly writing him into a different location for no reason at all. Starscream says that his plan is for Skyquake to kill Optimus, and once that's done, it will be known that it was done under his leadership. Once that feat is known, it will inspire loyalty amongst the rest of the ranks, due to the loyalty demonstrated by Skyquake towards Megatron. Truthfully, this isn't a bad plan. It demonstrates the strength Skyquake is perceived to have, since it's believed he can stand toe-to-toe with Prime by not only Starscream here, but Megatron before, demonstrated by the kill order he was given prior to this moment. It also shows the manipulation that Starscream has shown within this episode to lead with, where Megatron led with a show of power. Starscream makes up for it with cunning deception, whether it's through words as with his earlier speech, and word of mouth if this plan worked, or through perception with the recording of the battle he's having Soundwave tape. He shows he can think steps ahead, manipulate future events, even if he's narrow-minded in his focus, and doesn't see that things won't always go according to plan. Bumblebee, Optimus, and Skyquake battle it out, with Skyquake being able to handle his own against them both, even without a vehicle mode, which shows his prowess as a warrior. His line,
"So time has made you a coward, Prime?"
hints at the great warrior, fearless warrior that Optimus was while on Cybertron, in a time that we never got to see. Soundwave picks up a live signal where the space bridge used to be, with the only possibility being Megatron's signal. Starscream says to delete the signal and ignore the contact, that it has to be faulty, panicking over the possibility that he'll lose the power he waited so long to gain. He then regains his composure and starts to think, realizing he has to go check it out, that his biggest threat to power may still be alive, and how he handles it may be his own undoing. He has Soundwave stay and monitor the fight, smartly trying to keep him sidelined while going to check out the signal. Knowing his intentions though, Soundwave sends Laserbeak to keep an eye on him, using his own words as a catalyst.
"Must bear witness."
Agent Fowler then gets told about the fight between bots and cons and heads to the location, assuming responsibility to keep it confidential. This sets up a few things. First, the government's role in the Transformers Prime universe and how they keep these things under wraps, by having people in the know like Fowler take initiative and shut down suspicion. Second, a way for Skyquake to get a vehicle mode, since they pointed out earlier that he doesn't have one yet. When Fowler arrives, that's exactly what happens. Skyquake scans Fowler's fighter and takes to the skies as his name implies. He gets Prime and B on the run, but before he can launch missiles their way, Fowler interferes, showing showing the resolve Fowler demonstrated in my last video. Even as it puts him in the Khan's crosshairs yet again, he still fights nonetheless. Screamer arrives at the destroyed space bridge, finding Megatron intact, ripping out the dark energon, keeping his spark alight. This is the first moment where the lines between ambition and treachery cross, his first act of treason against Lord Megatron. The arrival of Laserbeak, however, makes it so he won't get away with it entirely, so although he wasn't caught in the act, he still has to save the last remnants of the man that can take his power away from him, declaring,
"We must transport him to sickbay immediately."
Bumblebee then gets the high ground, hops on top of Skyquake, rips off some body parts, and sends him barreling to the ground. Fowler saves B, and since the Khans don't have a Fowler themselves, Optimus says,
Had Skyquake chosen to stray from his master's path, we might not be burying him today.
The episode ends with the kids all failing their science fair projects because Ratchet took full control and did the entire project himself, as the Khans have a science fair project of their own, revitalizing Megatron. The episode succeeds at a lot, but it isn't perfect. The plotline with the science fair project feels like an afterthought. That being said, it has a few good jokes, and it does plant a seed for the episode Stronger Faster in terms of Ratchet's personality on synthetic energon. It was a missed opportunity in terms of making the projects relate to Cybertron in more meaningful ways, or find out things that both Earth and Cybertron have in common. It could have addressed Ratchet's bias in that way. Alas, it did not. It did, however, show the first named Decepticon death in Skyquake, and although it was very rushed, it did set up future plotlines with it. Dreadwing's motivation, Starscream's consequences, brutality of war, showing that Transformers on both sides of the conflict are capable of death, which was a question brought to light by the death of Cliffjumper in my last video. It also added lore to the Transformers universe, bringing up lifespans, ranks, Cybertron, how Energon was stored on Earth during the Great War, and how there are warriors on Earth that were sent to guard it. The latter part we sadly don't get any more experience with, which is quite a shame, honestly. The best part of the episode is seeing Starscream adapt to having power, see his style of leadership form, and how it differs and compares to Megatron. His short-sightedness backed him into a corner, and the moment he thought he had the upper hand on Megatron once and for all, he created a whole new problem for himself. It shows that he isn't currently capable of leading an army, that he can't see enough steps ahead to plan effectively, and that his recklessness will be his own undoing. It also shows that not only does his troops not trust him, but his right-hand man does it either, with Soundwave sending Laserbeak to ensure he doesn't snuff Megatron out the moment he gets there, which is a good way to set up future conflicts, tease possible power struggles, and add questions on what the fate of the Decepticons will be now that Megatron, although unresponsive, has been recovered. The pacing isn't as good as the episodes that came before it. They brought Megatron back into the fold far too quickly, and killed off Skyquake with just as much haste. If Skyquake had a couple episodes to feel like a character, like the threat he was made out to be, his death would have had far more impact. Revealing Megatron's death as a fake out the same exact episode was just a bit much all at once. It took away from the weight of Skyquake's demise by having Starscream try to kill off Megs right before it. It didn't leave time to linger on anything, and then when Megatron survived yet again, watered down the stakes that came from Skyquake's death. It was a good episode. I'd have just done things differently, but that's just my opinion. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked this, subscribe to help me out, and for more news, reviews, and whatever we choose, stay tuned to Nerdsfeed. Have a great day. Thank you.